Hello, St. Thomas Academy, and welcome to the Cadet Football Show. I'm your host, Mike Maxwell, and to my left is our head football coach, Travis Walch. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So, Coach, congratulations on a big win last Friday, a state semifinal victory over Alexandria area. Final score 42-30. Give us your thoughts on the game.
Just kind of blown away early on some of the things that were happening, and it's just so important now this week going into it to say, okay, critique-wise, were we in the stands too long? You know, were there some things that we could do prep-wise to be different? So we got jumped a little bit. You know, they came out and they hit a few shots, and I think what gave us a lot of pieces, as you can go back and look at the plays, two of the calls we made that they scored on were the right calls. In one case, we just had a kid fall down. Yep. You know, so it's not like you're going, man, we haven't seen that formation or we hadn't seen that play, and nerves, no doubt. But the number one thing I take away from it, and I hope our whole community and our team takes away from it, is just the idea that I believe this victory builds some equity with the idea that it's just sometimes in football games it takes time. Yeah. And it takes time to figure out what it is they're doing and how we're going to try to combat that. And I'm used to that at the college level. Just these games get stretched out, and we'll make adjustments and we'll find ways. But at the same time, it's also not acceptable to start a game that way. Like in that type of game, it wasn't the plan, obviously. So we have to be better on that end of it. But just so thankful for the community and the belief. And you know, a lot of people are like, believed in you the whole time, and I just, you know, it's one of those things where I remember hearing this quote, you know, faith is really belief without proof. Mm-hmm. There's no reason that our kids should have thought that they could get back in that. We hadn't had a game like that. Yeah. You just hope that the day-to-day lessons and the way that we talk and prepare and let, you know, the way we work on a day-to-day basis allows them to know that we're going to have a shot as long as we just hang in there. Yep. That's what I was proud of.
That's awesome. So you're down, you know, you're down 23-0. You know, did you? It sounds like you had the belief that you could come back.
Yeah.
But did you think you could do it in such a dominant fashion?
No. I think we knew right where we were going. Even when we were starting to make the shift and really starting to take over the game, they were still making a play in the backfield, and they were still finding some open receivers. I mean, and that's, you know, you're in the middle of the state semis. That's a team that hadn't lost this year, so they're good. Yeah. It's not going to look like playing some of the opponents did, where everything just opens up, and that's why you need a kid like Luke Dobbs to make a contested catch, and you need a Savion to break 3 tackles, because guess what? They make good calls and they have good players too. Mm-hmm. And as I went back and watched the film, I was probably more impressed with their team and how dirty and hard they made it for us. Yeah. Nothing was clean. Even when we had stuff, it was not what we were used to. But also a credit to our kids to be able to say, yeah, it's not always going to be. That's football. It can get a little messy at times.
That's right. Yeah. So. Sometimes you just got to line up and play the game, right?
Yep.
You know, and regardless of what it looks like.
Yeah.
So defensively, you know, we gave up a lot of yards. You know, I think a little over 450, something like that. That's a bunch. But we seemed to make the stops when we needed to. And you know, there's probably more than this, but there were really 4 key plays that I kind of thought would set the tone for the comeback, if you will. I thought number one, the Patty Emerson blocked extra point was huge. It just gave, you know, it's 20-0, but you just needed something, you know, a glimmer of hope. And I think Savion kind of mentioned that in the post-game presser. He talked about just not losing hope.
It was the first good thing that happened for us that day, where we went, okay, something positive is going to come out of this.
Right.
You know.
Right. So that was a key one. And this one may have gone a little more under the radar, but there was a tackle made by Todd Rogalski. They just set up, Alex made a great screenplay. They were running up the field. He was going to score, but Todd Rogalski literally comes from the opposite side of the field and tackles him at the 20. That could have been the nail that put you down. I mean, you know, a touchdown versus the defense holds. They only get a field goal. 23 versus 27 doesn't sound like a major difference, but
yeah.
I think it was one of those plays where you went, okay, we can do this, right?
So let's learn that lesson in two ways. One, their blocker could have had Todd blocked in the backside, and his job cleanly was to block. And he gets that block. You're right. It really becomes almost unreachable. And we did some things as a coaching staff. When we went down 3 scores, we changed some things on offense, which I can't disclose. But it allows our kids to feel a little bit more comfortable in the idea of how we're going to run our offense. And I would love to be able to tell more, but I know we have opponents watching. But on the other side of that, the other lesson learned is, we've talked about why don't you tackle in practice. If we tackled in practice against our scout teams, we would never have that opportunity for Todd Rogalski to run across a football field and run someone down. And because we allow plays to go on, and believe me, we got to get better tackling. I'm not going to say this, but we're built to run, and we're built to finish. And he never gets an opportunity to do in that practice if we tackle, because our varsity would handle our JV and never get to that point. Exactly. But when you build it the way you do, it gives all of our guys opportunities on every play to just run. And that has got to be instinct. If he hesitates at any point on that play, and he's not built that way to do it every rep in practice, that does not happen.
Yep. Just an outstanding play. I noticed it. I was doing the broadcast, and I noticed it right then, and then going back and watching the film, I didn't realize how far he came from. He was literally on the other side,
all the way backside,
which was just outstanding. It just proves that you can never give up on a play either. Correct. So we had just scored. This is another key time. It's 23-15. They got about 2 minutes left in the half. Alex moved down, went into field goal position, and missed what seemingly would have been a chip shot for this kid, right? And I don't think the kick was blocked, but the pressure. There were 3 guys almost on top of him that likely caused that kick to go wide.
They said it was blocked, and when I watched the film, I can't really tell where it was. In both plays, Patty got some amazing push. Yeah, Patty Emerson was, and I thought Buck got it off the edge in game. But then someone said no, it wasn't blocked, and then someone else said it was.
Yeah, hard to tell.
I'll tell you that just the first one getting blocked, number one, what I loved about the first one getting blocked is we just went down 3 scores. And we always talk to our kids about response, like just load up for the next play and something good would happen. And Patty set the tone by getting that done. When a kicker hears and they hear that block, it sits in their mind.
For sure.
And he might rush a little bit. The coach might be over there saying, cut our splits down a little bit. The long snapper now maybe has a little bit, or short snapper has it all adds up. And I think more than anything, whether it was blocked or not, it was the idea that Patty got him rattled a little bit, and that's a kid, like we said, is whatever it is, 9, 11 full rides. You saw when he kicked the upright on that one, like you don't even see pro kickers doing that, but probably the play of the game. We talked about scoring before half or holding people. That was really, really big.
Yeah, it was huge. Gave you a little boost, and then the final one. And again, there were probably other key plays that I'm not including here, but the interception by Charlie Kern to open the second half was huge.
It was,
and of course that led to a quick touchdown and a 2-point conversion by Savion. Were there any other plays that really kind of stood out to you, or any other players that really kind of you felt made their mark?
Finn had a huge play on defense in the open field to hold him short on a 4th down. But the little things that I liked about it is I challenged our secondary specifically, some of our linebackers, that we have to be better at finishing. There's a time and point when a guy is going down and you need to add to that. And I thought at times throughout the years we just went, well, he's going down, I don't need to be involved in this right now. It's kind of maybe a little bit of a self-preservation. And we've kind of asked our kids, it's time to sell out. Like physically we have to give of ourselves. That's what football is at some point. And it's been a slow climb to that, but I really liked it was safe, it was ethical, it wasn't cheap, but there was more physicality in our secondary. And I think they felt that over the course of the game. I think their receivers had a few more drops towards the end of the game, and we need to stay on that track.
Yeah. the other guy that I thought really just as you're talking, Teddy Knapp was pretty incredible. I mean, for a big guy like him to hunt down both the quarterback and the running backs, he did an outstanding job, I thought.
He did. He probably played more plays than anyone else. Teddy Knapp and Charlie Kern were the two to me physically that just made our defense feel like we were starting to win the physical battle. Those two really stood out to me. I was really proud of both of them. And then you tell Teddy run off the field. No, by the way, you got to go play tight end as well. And but that's why we run in practice. And I don't mean we don't condition them. That's why we practice the way we do, because you need to be able to run to win football games. And the physical piece is coming along. It's never going to be as fast as I want. And frankly, from a critique standpoint, I'm going to look this whole offseason. We're going to say, are there other things we could be doing at lower levels to allow us to be better? Where, hey, you're not losing on a Friday night, right? But are there other things we can be at the lower levels to prepare them better once we get up here? So all things to think about.
Got it. All right. So offensively, I thought right out of the chute we were struggling big time. We were their line was giving us some fits, and obviously made some adjustments, which you alluded to already. But it was like 6:25 left in the second quarter. The flip, you flipped the switch and it changed completely. You had just gone on had an eight play drive, capped off with a 48-yard touchdown from Maximus to Luke Dobbs, and then a 2-point conversion by Savion. And then once they got the momentum, they were rolling. I mean, 42 unanswered points. It's pretty incredible, right?
It is, and I mentioned this to you. It wasn't the run game that loosened things up. I mean, you have to be able to address all areas of the field. It's not just areas of the field, but it's certain matchups in the field. And every week that changes. So two things when you watch film is you go, where do we think we can? And sometimes you get out there and go, whoa, jersey number 70. Way tougher matchup than maybe what we thought. We've had so much success with our O-line just taking care of stuff. But then, jersey number 7 gets hurt on their team. Well, that certainly helps us out. Now, they're running a different corner out there. It's one thing to say, hey, they got a corner out there. It's another thing to go after him the second snap after he's in the game. That's coaching. That's our guys going, clearly they've got someone new in there. We are going at him right now. We're not waiting around. But I really thought it was the passing game that loosened things up enough to allow the run game to come back. And we've kind of been the other way this year. We've mashed people in the run game and then play action and benefited from it. And I'm thankful that we have the coaching staff and the kids that can execute and call that type of that game as well, besides just the run stuff. Yep.
Well, and it's probably the one thing we talked about this off air is it's one thing we've kind of lacked in the past is a really strong passing game, and of course over the last 5-6 weeks Maximus has taken it to a different level. So
I think over 5 games he's got 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, but what's really neat about what he's doing, I think his completion rate is somewhere around 80% over 5 games. And efficiency, I remember the first time I talked to him, I just said, I don't know if we're going to throw more or less. I think it'll be more. But I really believe you can be much more efficient and be throwing for more yards per completion. And I'm happy. It's what you believe. Right. You don't know, but you have a belief. And it's kind of like, it's just, I think we can do this with the guys we got and the coaching staff that we got.
Absolutely. So a couple of stats. Speaking of the passing, Maximus was 12 of 15, which is incredible. 245 yards, 3 touchdowns. The yards by air actually exceeded yards on the ground. That's, I think, the second time that's happened this year. Luke Dobbs, 6 catches, 114 yards. He made a couple of. He made that one on the sideline where he bobbled it and caught it, got his foot in, kept the drive alive. It was huge. And then, of course, his touchdown pass was pretty awesome as well. Savion, another great day, 25 carries, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns. Back to the passing game, the catch of the day I thought was the 31-yarder from Max to Chase Young. He had a defender all over him, and Max just put it in the right spot, and again, bobbled a little bit, but made a great grab. So that was really fun to see, and I think just kind of took the air out of Alexandria's sails there. So
I go back to Sam, just so thankful that Chase is out on the field getting 50 plays a game instead of being a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, he's just too good of a football player, and then let that be a lesson for our staff and everyone moving forward. Good football players can play a lot of different positions, and
for sure.
Really part of that started with him. He's like, if I'm not going to be a starting quarterback, I want to play. Like, that's goal number one, and man, what a teammate to have.
Yeah, I love that attitude. So let's talk about the MVPs of the game.
Yeah, I remember before the game, we were talking about scouts already, like, who gave us a good look? And these 10th graders continue to hang around. They're probably not going to play in a game. A couple of them get to. We actually, I hope it was fun for them. We took the last 15 minutes of practice the last 2 days last week and allowed our varsity to watch. Actually, the first day, the varsity just watched the JV. And took that practice time because they've been so valuable to us. Like, we got to give something back. So they actually did an overtime situation one day, our JV offense against our JV defense.
Nice.
And then the next day we did a red zone deal. Just the last 15, 20 minutes of practice where they can just go out and not have to be the other team. They can just be them and have fun with it. Yep. And the plan is to continue on with that. So we were already thinking, like, I had some names, but in the end it's just like, it's all of them. Yeah. It's everyone that shows up every day knowing that they're not going to play and they're going to be on scout team and continues to give us a great look. So I kind of had that thought in my mind, and then the whole MVP thing came up, and it's a program win. Yeah. It's hard to say it was this kid, that kid. I know we can look at numbers, but if they didn't truly believe and weren't willing to hang in there, it wouldn't have mattered. You know, it's just, it's a good culture equity win that I want our whole community to know. And I remember saying this throughout the year, like, I want to win all our games. I don't care if we lose non-elimination games. I want to be as good as we can possibly be come elimination time. And I think we're starting to see that. I really do. And even our defense, when we give up yards and points in Owatonna and last week, they just find ways to keep us in it. Yeah. And let's face it, you said right from the start, the biggest concern coming this year is there are no defensive starters back. And a brand new system. We're getting there. We're not where we want to be, but we're getting there, and we compete.
Yeah. Well, and that's for sure. You don't go down 23-0 and come back if you're not competing. And I think you talk about the defense. For what we lacked at the beginning of the year and the unknowns, I think they are. You've got a lot of guys that have been on the field. They're playing hard. They are. There's always 5, 6, up to 10, 11 hats on that ball. Yep. And that, to me, that's the key to it. So even if you don't get the good tackle right away, there's 4 or 5 other guys right there.
You need to run. And the other thing is, I don't know the exact number, but I feel like we had somewhere between 18 and 19 kids rotating on and off the field on defense. So you just can't play with 11. That's not who I want to be on offense, defense. I want to make sure that this whole team feels like I have my little role. Might only be a 3-play role. Might only be a 4-carry game. But let's be built that way. I think in the long run, it keeps us way healthier, keeps us way fresher, and it keeps more people involved. Yeah. Agree.
Well, I love that your MVPs was the entire team. I think that's a great way, especially for this win this week. So, obviously, moving on, we got one game left. You're 10-2 on the season. Going to be back at US Bank Stadium to play for a state championship against Chan. It's been 48 years since we last won a state title. Do you feel like that adds any pressure, to you or the coaching staff or whatever to get it done?
I don't. Okay. I can remember at University of St. Thomas we hadn't won one, and we got there twice and weren't able to do it. When you look at the other side of this and say, just, man, there's so many teams that would love to do this. I had so many coaches reach out this week and say, enjoy it. I know you feel like it's going to happen next year because you've never been through this, but I saw it on the college level. It's really hard. It's a lot of things have to go well to get to this point. And no, I don't feel pressure. I don't think our kids feel pressure. We can't do anything about what's happened in the past, and
for sure.
It's amazing. Sometimes as a coach, you just naturally think that everyone knows everyone when they're in a community, and it's like these kids don't know that, and part of me is like, I don't even care if they do know that or not, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Excuse me.
Yep. So Chanhassen is 12-0.
Yeah.
They beat a very good Andover team in overtime, 54-46. Not much defense being played in that game, but Chanhassen's another team I don't believe we have ever played.
Okay.
And so that continued. That theme continues for this year. What can you tell us about Chanhassen?
Well, I remember when we lost to Andover this year, I looked across the field, I was talking to our kids after the game, I said that there is the standard. Like, that's what we're chasing now. We clearly understand we got a long ways to go. Yep. And I continued to feel that way almost all the way up to this game. And even in game, you're going, that Andover is awesome. Yep. And then, you watch the game and Chan comes out on top, and then you go back and watch it again, you're going, man, Andover played well, Chan played well. Chan really had 2 big turnovers in that game. Poor special teams play, and it really allowed Andover to kind of hang around. I might say 3 with the onside kick. Yep. And then you're going, man, Chan was able to weather all of that against an Andover team. Yep. And then in the end you go, listen, they've been number 1 almost all year. They haven't lost. They beat Mankato West twice, and now they beat Andover. So we know who they are. They're big. They're dominant on both fronts. Mm-hmm. They have, arguably, you're going to put Say in the top 5 in the state. His term as a high school player. I'm not just saying, he's a tackle. The way that Savion affects the game, I put him top 3, top 5 in the state, right? Yep. And they're going to have that same kid in Maxwell Woods. And I think the easy thing to do is say, well, if you contain Woods, just like you could say to us, if you contain Savion, well, then that's it. But that's not it. We're not both here because we just have one guy. Exactly. Yeah. And they're really well coached. I think that some of the best stuff that they do, and it's hard for a fan to see this, is much like we try to pride ourselves in, is can we stretch the team horizontally and can we stretch them vertically and really threaten them and have things, and they do that well. They have scheme that pairs up with scheme that makes it really tough. And there's other teams where you go, okay, they come out in this, so we have a pretty good idea what's coming. They just do a really good job in scheming. It's one thing to play against great talent. It's another thing to play against great talent that has great scheme. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're getting here. And that's what you're going to get in the last 4 games, right? Last 2 or 3 games in the state. Yeah,
well, it's what you want.
It's what you want.
You play the game, right? Yep. So beyond number 3, Maxwell Woods, who by the way has a great first name. I love it.
Yeah.
Who else that is kind of got you up at night?
Well, I love their quarterback, and he's I don't want to say he's not a playmaker. He's a distributor. You could tell he manages it. Yeah. He's good enough to beat you with his legs. He throws a really good ball. Their defensive end, and I'm sorry, I've watched so much film. It's either 9 or 11. I'm pretty sure. I was still having nightmares about 11 from Andover in the game the other night watching him play. I'm pretty sure it's jersey number 9, and I don't know what his offer situation, but my understanding is he's going to the University of Minnesota, and you can see why. He is just as good as 70 was. He's going to be as big of a matchup issue. And they also do a nice job of the Maxwell Woods is going to play both sides of the ball. So you might go, we just got to worry about him as a running back. No. They get him out into the pass game. He's their kick returner. He's their corner. He's probably going to be on Dobbs the whole game. Right. And then you go, okay, well, 9, at least he's on offense. He's on defense. So like a lot of teams this time of year, you take your O&D and you mesh them together and go, this is our team now. We're going to, there's nothing left to save it for. It's all out there now. So we're gonna play our best players as much as they need to play to win this thing. Yeah. And they just did it. They've been doing a little bit more than maybe we have, but they've got I really like their secondary. Their safeties come up. They're really aggressive and they fill. And the one commonality when I watch Andover, and that's what started drawing me to talking to our secondary about, hey, a little more chippy here. We need to be able to fill and we need to commit. I was watching a Mankato West Chan game, and I'm watching the way that and I'm going, that's when I watch, we got to get better there. Yeah. And So it's good. We want to learn from everyone we can.
Yeah.
But and special teams wise, they're dynamic. So they're really well coached.
Yep.
They got great talent, and it's going to be an exciting challenge. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a fun game to watch. We've been blessed. St. Thomas has been blessed. We've been in this game. This is the 6th time since 2000. Wow. Not many teams who can match that.
Yep.
And hopefully the kids understand that this. We're lucky. We've been there a lot, but this doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen every year. So to enjoy it. Win or lose, right?
Yep.
It's a great experience, and obviously we hope we come out on the winning end. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch either way.
Yeah, and the other thing that comes up a lot, I'm doing this analyst stuff for Prep Bowl as well, and you, as analysts, you're always going, well, let's compare scores, right? And most people are pointing to the fact that, well, Andover beat you the way they did, and then Chan beat them, and I said, well, that's fair if you want to go that route, but then look at the Maddaus score. Right? They had to go 80 yards at the end of the game to beat Maddaus, and we handled Maddaus. I mean, matchups are weird. The time of the year is weird. Yep. Your health, maybe you had some guys that were out, maybe you didn't, maybe something happened in school.
Yep.
It's just timing is a very unique thing. So comparative scores are great, but it really comes down to matchups and personnel and how you're able to handle those and do those. So.
Well, and I think we have to remember these are high school kids,
no doubt,
and they got a lot of other stuff going on, especially at a school like ours, where the academic load is a lot.
Yep.
They've got other stuff that they're involved in too.
Yeah.
So and that can change week to week.
And now we're thrown in an odd week with the Thanksgiving week, and there's no school for some. I think for most of the public's no school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. For us, Thursday, Friday. Yep. We have a big day here Wednesday with what's going on here. And then we're probably, with weather, going to end up being in a dome both Thursday and Friday to try to get some practice time in. So
well, again, should be a lot of fun. I know I'm looking forward to it. One more game. Let's get it done, Coach.
We'll do.
All right. So, Coach, thanks for taking time to talk cadet football with me today. And again, go get them on Saturday. It's going to be fun.
Thank you.
So our cadets will play for a state championship on Saturday against the Chanhassen Storm. Kickoff is scheduled for 4 p.m. at US Bank Stadium. The game will be shown locally on Channel 45 and streamed live on NSPN.TV. We are still determining whether we will offer an audio broadcast. Check cadetbroadcast.com later this week for more information on that. Either way, we will have links to both an audio and in the streaming on NSPN TV. And of course, we'll have ticket information below if you'd like to attend, and I encourage you to do so. It's a lot of fun for these players to have STA fans in the stands cheering them on. Our next show, we will break down the state championship game with Chanhassen, and then we'll put a wrap on the 2023 football season. Until then, thanks for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, and go Cadets.